Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Well, right before you, it says Love Island blogger MERALI apologizes for a viral race play sex video. Now, let me just tell you straight out from the jump, I'm not surprised. Not one bit. Because I was able to see through this man's racism way back when. You know, black people need to be very careful with trusting these other so-called POCs, people of color, because many a times they can be some of the most anti-black, anti-African people around. They can give you just as much, if not more, racism than white folks. Now, let me tell you the reason why I was not surprised by his racism. You have to look at it this way. He was always so ready to interject and jump into the affairs of black people, coming to the backs of black people like he's some savior. And with that, to me, pretty much goes a savior complex. It's almost like he had all the answers. It was his way. Listen to him. He knows these solutions. And basically, he can help your life get better, is what he was conveying. However, I'm going to say hell no to that, because no POC, whether you are Arab like him, whether you're Hispanic, non-Hispanic, black, whether you're Asian, you have never walked into the shoes of a black person. You have never walked into my shoes. You may be a so-called POC, but your history and your culture is completely different. Now, Murad is from the UK, and I am sure that the Arab culture, traditions, and history is completely different from black people there. And I'm sure that his culture, traditions, and history. Mainly let's focus on history because we don't have to debate culture. We know that's going to be different. But let's talk about history. I'm sure that his history is going to be different from Asian people there or Southeast Asian people there. So therefore, let's get into this. MERALI was caught with a foot fetish. And, it's not so much that it's his foot fetish that's necessarily a bad thing. It isn't. But the problem with him and what makes this fetish so problematic is the fact that there was a black man and there was an Asian man. And with these two, start off with the black man, he was using the N-word. He was saying things like, worship my Arab feet. And you should be glad that, you're at the feet of this Arab. It was all these derogatory words that he was spewing out, the N-word a couple of times. And he's supposed to be such a black ally. And he's supposed to be such an ally of minority people. And such an ally with other POCs. And he just proved my point because he had a lot of black women food. I can remember looking at his black female fan base on IG, and I was just thinking to myself, you ladies need to be very careful because this guy is on your side. He's claiming to be an ally as long as you big him up. As long as you're giving him all this praise and glory, of course he's going to like you, but it's false. He's only using you for numbers. And you can see the derogatory thing that he wrote here, that he tried to apologize and say that, oh no, it wasn't him. He didn't say these things. And somehow it's not really who he is. Then he went on to say, well, some of the stuff he did say, but it was years ago. And I take issue with that years ago crap. The reason being, if you said this years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, why wait now to apologize? Why not just come out right now or last year or let's say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and just say that I had some pictures or photos taken that I am not very proud of, that showed me in a very bad light. And I just want to take the opportunity on my own volition. I'm not being outed, I'm not being forced out, to just say I'm very sorry, that I'm a changed man. Those photos and pics do not represent who I am today. He could have said that, but no, he did not. He waited until someone else exposed him. So, in that regards, right there, I don't think or believe the apology was genuine. Now, let's talk about this race play that people may think that, oh, it's innocent. Well, if it's so innocent, why didn't you race play with Arabs or people of your own race? You could have called them names, right? Well, no, but you didn't. But you chose to use very derogatory and demeaning language towards black people and Asian. When I say Asian, I want to say the guy looked to be either Japanese, Chinese, or Korean. He was Chinese. I remember the slurs he used. There's a specific slur that you use towards a Chinese man, and I obviously will not say it, but he used that particular slur. And this pic right here shows them feet. His feet is beating on the face of this Chinese man, and he's calling this man all types of derogatory words. Think of chain, a chain link, which rhymes with link. Yes, he's using those words right there, and that is out of his own mouth. So I knew that this man right here, I never trusted him. I never got a good feeling or vibe about him at all, because he comes across as being too uppity, too much like he knows the answers for black people. He knows the answers to racism, that he has these solutions. And him being an Arab, he does not have these solutions for black people. And let me tell you this about the Kevin Samuels link. When Kevin Samuels had passed away, he talked about Kevin Samuels. The only time he ever spoke about Kevin Samuels was when Kevin Samuels passed away. And he had a kind of like giddiness or glee. It was kind of like with some contained joy I had noticed. And this contained joy was the fact that he did not like the idea of a black man on the YouTube platform being more successful than him. He was jealous of that. And he was jealous of Kevin's reach towards black people. So he never really surprised me, this MURAD, about, what came out. And this whole weird apology stating that he was the R word at 14 several times, and the result of that having genitals shoved up in you. Well, of course, if you rape, that's bound to happen. Having foot shoved in his mouth. And he used a very strange term. I was raped severely. That's strange. Raped severely? Um, you know, is there such thing as being the R word gently? Is there such thing as being, politely, I guess? That's just a foolish way to say that. Which his, apology was not really sincere or genuine to me at all. He was making excuses, in my opinion, and said that the reason why he developed a foot fetish is because of the fact that he was assaulted with feet. Come on, man. You can do better than that. Just face the fact that you have racism within you. It's there. I mean, you come across as being someone who thinks that they are superior. And by the way, one of his feeds, I read one of them, he talks about his farts being superior and about people should be glad to smell his superior Arab farts. And he talked about using his big feet to jack a black man off. Just a lot of weird, disgusting things. And that I do not believe that a violation would result in someone behaving in that particular manner. And with that strange apology, he tried to garner sympathy, and he turned it around towards him being the victim. And the reason why he was capable of doing these things the derogatory language towards black people, Chinese people, and by the way, he's gay himself. He used the F bomb. He used the F bomb pretty at times, which shows me a lot of inner self hatred also. But he's trying to say that it's because of him being violated and I guess not really responding to therapy the way he should. If you believe or buy that crazy explanation for an excuse. But this just tells you the type of person that you are dealing with. And thank God I never fell for his antics. I've seen him a couple of times, never subscribed to him, never followed him on any type of a platform. Just something about him gave me a very uncomfortable feeling, and I tuned out. Haven't watched him in a while, and this is the first time that I really, to be honest with you, seen him again because of this whole incident that came out about his feet and his foot fetish. So, with that being said and done, black people, please be very careful of accepting these other POCs into your inner ranks as your allies, as your friends, someone who's in a struggle with you. 95% of the times they are not. A great deal of your racism and setbacks will come at the hands of them. They have a lot of racism which they have not dealt with. For some strange reason, they believe that because they are so-called people of color, so-called, they believe that they can't be racist. So therefore, with that, they choose not to deal with it, or they choose not to accept any type of criticism that they are. So let that be a lesson. Be very careful and very guarded about who you allow into your ranks. Because not all these so-called POCs are going to understand, or even going to want to understand or sympathize with your history. Just like this clown here. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Sin Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you all beyond and through.